What if I told you that the #1 reason most houseplants in America and Canada die has nothing to do with bugs, diseases, or even sunlight? The real culprit is watering. Yes, watering. The very thing you do with love and care to keep your plants alive is often the exact thing that ends up killing them. It sounds unbelievable, but it's true. And the worst part? Most people don't even realize it until it's too late. They only notice when the leaves turn yellow, start to droop, or drop to the floor like a sad little rain of failure. But wait, before you roll your eyes and think this is just another "don't overwater your plants" lecture, hold on. Because what I'm about to share is different. There's one incredibly simple habit that completely changed the way I care for plants. This habit saved me from killing dozens of them. And once you hear it, you'll never look at watering the same way again. You want to know the secret, right? Don't worry, I'll get there. But first, let's step back and understand why watering is such a tricky trap in the first place. Because if you don't fully grasp the why, the solution won't hit as hard and you won't remember to use it when it matters most. Think about how you usually water your plants. Do you do it once a week because someone told you that's the right schedule? Do you water every 3 days because you think plants should stay evenly moist? Or maybe you're like many beginners and just water whenever you remember or whenever the plant looks a little sad. Be honest, there's not really a method, is there? We mostly guess. And that's the dangerous part. Because plants don't live by your schedule. They don't care if it's Sunday, Wednesday, or the day your reminder app tells you to water. What they care about is what's happening in their soil. Sometimes the soil stays wet for days, and sometimes it dries out quickly depending on the light, the pot size, or the season. When you ignore that and water just because it's time, you end up drowning the roots or leaving them bone dry. Both are a death sentence. Here's something that might shock you. More indoor plants in the U.S. and Canada die from overwatering than from underwatering. Way more. We literally love our plants to death. And here's a truth that flips the way most people think about care. It doesn't actually matter how often you water. It doesn't matter if you've set a 3-day schedule or a Sunday ritual. What matters is whether your plant actually needs water at that exact moment. That's it. But here's the twist. Most beginners miss the signs entirely. They're flying blind. There's one tiny, almost ridiculously simple test that tells you everything you need to know before you pour a single drop of water. And when you use it, you never have to guess again. So, what is it? It's the finger soil test. And yes, I know it sounds too basic, too obvious, but don't underestimate it. This one small action is the difference between a thriving green jungle and a sad corner of drooping, yellowing leaves. Instead of watering because the calendar says so, you check the soil with your finger. You push it about an inch or two deep. If it feels moist, you do nothing. If it feels dry, you water. That's it. Simple, right? But it works. Here's why it matters so much. Your plant's roots don't care about your routine. They care about oxygen and balance. When the soil is too wet, the roots suffocate. They literally can't breathe. When the soil is too dry, the roots starve. They can't deliver nutrients, and the plant begins to collapse. The finger test gives you the truth about what your plant needs in real time. It cuts through your assumptions. Let me ask you this. How many times have you looked at a plant and thought, "It looks thirsty," only to water it and make things worse? I know I've done it, and I bet you have too. Here's the problem. Plants don't always look thirsty when they are, and sometimes they look thirsty when they're drowning. Leaves droop for both reasons, and that's where the finger test saves you. Most plant deaths could have been prevented by this one 5-second habit. Imagine walking up to your plant, sticking your finger into the soil, and instantly knowing whether to water or wait. Imagine never second-guessing, never stressing, never drowning your plant out of love. That confidence changes everything. But maybe you're thinking, okay, but I don't really like the idea of sticking my finger in dirt every time. Or maybe your plant is tricky. The pot is too deep, or you just want something even more precise. That's where the next tool comes in. And once I found it, it completely boosted my confidence. It's called a moisture meter. And if the finger test is your best friend, the moisture meter is your plant's personal doctor. You push the probe into the soil and instantly you get a reading: wet, moist, or dry. No guessing. No dirt under your nails. No, maybe it's fine. Just clear, straightforward information. This tool is especially powerful for bigger pots or tricky plants. Sometimes the top of the soil looks bone dry, but deeper down it's still soaking wet. The finger test can only go so far. But the moisture meter, it shows you exactly what's happening below the surface where your plant's roots are living. Quick pattern interrupt here. How many of you have ever watered a plant, then 2 days later checked and realized the soil was still soggy? That sinking, guilty feeling? Yeah, I've been there too. That's exactly why the moisture meter is worth it. The best part is they're cheap, easy to find, and super beginner friendly. You don't need a green thumb, you just need this habit and a little tool to back you up. But even with these tricks, there's one thing you absolutely have to avoid: watering just because it's time. Maybe it's been a week, maybe it's been 3 days, maybe it's just your usual routine. That's one of the biggest mistakes new plant parents make. Plants don't live by your clock. They live on their soil. I'll give you an example. I had a pothos once that looked a little droopy, so I watered it without checking the soil. What I didn't realize was that the top looked dry, but the bottom was still soaked. Within a week, the leaves were yellowing and the roots were turning mushy. It was almost too late. Only when I started using the finger test did it bounce back and recover. That moment taught me everything I needed to know. Watering isn't about routine, it's about awareness. And the golden rule is simple: never water until you check first. Here's something that might shock you. Most houseplants don't die because we forget to water them. They die because we water them too much. They die because of love. Think about that for a moment. You're not neglecting your plant into an early grave. You're smothering it with attention. Once you understand that, you're already ahead of the majority of plant owners. Most people will keep guessing and repeating the same mistakes, but you'll know exactly what to do. That's the power of the finger soil test and the moisture meter. So, let's bring it all together. If you want your plants to thrive, stop watering on autopilot. Don't stick to a blind schedule. Instead, make it a habit to test first. Use your finger for the quick check. Use a moisture meter when you want extra clarity. Always listen to what the soil tells you, not what your reminder app says. This single habit is the difference between plants that struggle and plants that thrive. Now I want to hear from you. What's the biggest watering mistake you've ever made? Did you overwater? Did you underwater? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and I'd love to hear your story. If this helped you, hit the like button, share this with a friend who's struggling with their plants, and subscribe for more simple plant-saving tips. Remember, your dream indoor jungle is just one small habit away.